of the Focus TV. It is officially season 5, episode 37. Joined by Octavia Wyatt, Raymond Lyons, Cardell Dudley Jr., and Wilson Turpay Jr. A lot to get through. It's crazy how quickly this snuck up on us, but like training camps in the NFL literally opened across the league officially today, or within the last 2 days. So Octavia's going to kick things off with the NFC East. Then we got some Mystics, going to talk some Kennel League as always. Cardell's going to let you know who stood out. I got some DC United updates for you all. I'm including, how close we're getting to Wayne Rooney actually being on the sidelines, doing the job that they hired him to do as manager. 9450 breakdown, and then we're going to get in rapid fire, which I'm sure Cardell has some fun questions for us this week. That said, Octavia, what's going on with the NFC East as training camp doors officially open around the league?
Yeah, just like you said, it's kind of weird that literally training camps are open for all teams starting today. Some teams have rookies report on the 21st, but majority of all the teams, rookies and vets, have reported as of today. It's so crazy because with training camp starting, that means preseason's right around the corner and the season is right around the corner. Preseason actually starts next week. August 4th is the first preseason game, Jaguars and Raiders. So it's just kind of crazy to me that we're that close, but I'm super excited, ready for the season to start. So with training camp started, just wanted to go over just some question marks, biggest things going into training camp, a lot of things to look forward to and that you're going to be looking for these NFC East teams. Every year we have this conversation, the NFC East, we're going to be better. We don't want to be the NFC least anymore. So hopefully that happens for these teams this year. I'll go ahead and start with your hometown Washington Commanders. Again, their training camp started today. Big questions that I'm just thinking about as far as them is how is their defense going to bounce back after a lackluster year last year? Year before that, they were pretty good. In 2020, they finished second in total yards and fourth in points. But last season, they finished 22nd in yards and 25th in points. A lot of injuries for them as well. We know Chase Young had the ACL tear, so I'm interested to see how he bounces back from that. And to see, another year with Ron Rivera, who we know is a great coach, at the helm. Hopefully the other things that aren't football related to the Washington Commanders don't interfere with the actual football, because we know that the Washington Commanders have a lot going on with their owner and their work culture and everything that's going on there. So hopefully they can stay out of the media and out of the news for that and stay in it for good things as far as football players. Of course, the biggest question that I have is how is Carson Wentz going to do for the Commanders? We know Terry McLaurin just signed a new deal. We know they got Jahan Dotson. And is Kurt Samuel going to be healthy this year? We know he missed majority of the games last year with a groin injury and a hamstring injury that nagged him a lot of last year. So to see how he bounces back this year as well. I'm interested to see how Antonio Gibson is going to bounce back as well. He was their primary rusher. Is anybody going to give him any competition, or is he going to be the workhorse for them this year? But yeah, I'm mostly really interested to see how Carson Wentz meshes with the secondary, because he has good secondary. I mean, we know what Terry McLaurin can do, and Terry McLaurin has done that with bottom tier quarterbacks over the past couple of seasons, and they haven't had a top tier quarterback. This is really Carson Wentz's last opportunity, you would think, to prove he could still be a top tier quarterback, that quarterback that he was in 2017 when he had a near MVP season but got injured. So it's really, a lot of question marks, as it is for most of the teams in the NFC East this year, but Washington Commanders, we'll see how they shake out this year. Next, I'm going to go to the New York Giants. Of course, they have a lot going on as well. New general manager, new head coach as well. Same thing for pretty much all of the teams in the NFC East. It's a lot of people coming off of injuries and seeing how they're going to bounce back. We know Saquon Barkley, had the ACL injury earlier in the year, and he was able to play later in the year. But I want to see how a full offseason regimen helps him after coming off of that injury, to see how he'll be able to hold up going forward. Also, we know Daniel Jones is on thin ice, especially with a new coach, a new general manager. He was not their pick, so it should be easy for them to get rid of him if he does not have a great year this year. We always know that their offensive line is pretty offensive. So looking forward to see if they finally got it right there, because it seems like every year in the draft, they're drafting a new offensive lineman, and it doesn't seem to help them any further. As far as their weapons, I'm really interested to see in Kadarius Toney, how he bounces back. He also had a lot of injuries last year, along with Kenny Golladay and along with Sterling Shepard. Those are their, projected starters on the wide receiver end. I'm really interested to also see how they bounce back from tight end after losing Evan Ingram, as well as, I know he didn't play much, but Kyle Rudolph. So to see how that steps up, and then to see how Kayvon Thibodeau plays for the Giants. I'm really interested to see on the defensive side for them, just to see the talent that he is, to see if he can actually really put, maybe their defense back to the yesteryears that they used to be. We know how great the Giants defense used to be. So interested to see how that all works out. I'm really interested to see how the coach meshes with the team, because we know the foolery that happened last year with their coach. So I'm definitely interested to see if this is going to be a change and a turnaround for them. On to my Philadelphia Eagles. I'm excited about a lot, I'll be honest. But I always try to temper my excitement because, again, it's the NFC East. Biggest question mark, of course, to me is going to be Jalen Hurts. How accurate can he be, and how consistently accurate can he be? For him, he had a pretty good season last year, but he still has a lot that he needs to work on. I mean, he led them to the playoffs with a 9-8 record. He actually finished first among quarterbacks in yards rushing at 784 and rushing touchdowns at 10, but was 26 in completions. So that's not good, especially when they have now a lot of tape of you doing said rushing. It's going to be hard to do that again this year. So he has to be accurate, especially because they bolstered up the weapons on the outside. I mean, A.J. Brown coming is a huge, huge upgrade to anybody we had in the wide receiver outside of Devontae Smith, of course, who was the number one last year. So I would say we have a 1A and a 1B. Of course, they're both two different body types and two different things. But I'm interested to see to make sure that A.J. Brown can also stay healthy, because he had, I believe, some knee injuries last year as well. And then also, I'm really looking forward to see who's going to be behind them. We know it's going to be A.J. Brown. We know it's going to be Devontae Smith. And then, to me, the other two are going to be Zach Pascal, who, of course, came from the Colts and is familiar with Nick Sirianni. And then as well as, I believe it'll be Quez Watkins. I think he had a really great showing last year. So I think that'll be the top four. Ideally, you would think they'll carry anywhere between 5 and 6. So that leaves 2 spots open. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside has converted to a tight end, whatever that means, because maybe he'll just block all the time at this point. But I'm interested to see, because, as we all know, Jalen Reagor was a complete bust. I know we're only a few years out from that, but to go from being a first-round pick to now you don't even know if you're going to be in the top 4 or 5 in the depth chart of wide receivers is kind of dismal. So he has a lot to work on, especially because he will have some competition. Britton Covey out of Utah, he had a good spring showing, and it seems like the coaching staff likes him. Of course, you still have Greg Ward. You have John Hightower, and then you have this Olympic hurdler that came out of nowhere who's still running track and hurdling, but hasn't played since 2016 for Oregon. And so we'll see how that works out as well in the wide receiver. On defense, I'm actually finally happy that we're somewhat a complete defense. As far as, I think up front we're going to be really dangerous. I'm really interested to see how Brandon Graham comes back. I'm really excited to see Jordan Davis, to see, the Georgia boys, Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, who was a steal, in my opinion. And then also, finally, to me in the secondary, it at least looks decent. To have Darius Slay on the corner, getting Bradbury and then also getting Jaquarci Tart for safety. So, and it just seems at least it's a lot more continuity as far as people who have done this before, and it looks like that it can somewhat be something put together well. So I'm very interested, very optimistic. But again, NFC East, these are the things that happen. Lastly, I need to see Miles Sanders do more. It's a contract year for him, and he's been hurt a lot these last couple of years, so he needs to stay healthy this year. He has some running backs on his heels. Kenneth Gainwell had a great year last year. We know that I don't even know if he's still there, but I have to check. Boston Scott, they love his little self as well. So he has a lot to prove this year. Lastly, I'll go Dallas Cowboys. I feel like everybody's saying the biggest concern is it can be split. To me, it's the coaching, and then it's everybody's just having a lot of eyes on Dak. I mean, granted, I understand it because he's getting paid a lot, but Dak does Dak things. Like, I think Dak is a great quarterback. I think that honestly, the bigger eyes to me are going to be on CeeDee Lamb. Can he really step up and be a number one wide receiver after them losing Amari Cooper? Even though Amari Cooper didn't have a stellar year last year, he's legit number one. He shows up when he needs to. So I mean, that's what they drafted CD for. Pretty much probably didn't think that Amari would be here past 2 to 3 years, which of course he isn't. So now CD's turn to have to step up and be the number one. I'm also very, very interested to see how the defense repeats from last year. Are they going to be able to sustain the type of play they had last year? It was such an extreme from the year prior. Trayvon Diggs, Stephon Diggs says a lot about his little brother, about how great of a cornerback he is, and we want to see if he's going to be able to duplicate that in 2 years. I mean, back-to-back years. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Michael Parsons again. I feel like that they're going to have him a lot more active than they did last year, because obviously he can handle it, being the rookie defensive player of the year, and being able to just go out there and ball out. Like, he's going to be rushing the quarterback a lot, I can see. And then I'm just interested to see how they're going to replace Randy Gregory. It seems like it looks like that they're leaning towards a Sam Williams, replacing him. But I'm really interested to see how that's going to work out for them. So, but I honestly still think that the biggest question mark is the coaching. A lot of the penalties that they had last year, penalties are a direct result of coaching. So are they going to be able to get these players coached up where they don't make those type of mistakes this year? And we know Jerry is going to say Jerry things like he does every year, and he is itching for a Super Bowl, number one, but at least a playoff win is something that he's definitely looking forward to. So will they be able to do that? We'll see. It's going to be a long season in the NFC East. It's going to be a lot happening, and I'm just ready for it to start.
Yeah, man, a lot of people happy that football's back, and like you said, literally next week is preseason.
Yeah,
Time
crazy.
is moving too fast, and probably 2 weeks after that, it's probably gonna be NBA training camp. Like, this year is moving way too quick. All right, Ray, Mystics, what have they been up to?
They coming off a little bit of a break. They played last Thursday and won't play again until this Thursday. So they get some R&R and coming into the dog days of the season. So that should bode well for them. It's the end of the year, like, people are tired. So getting them a little rest in the mid-season is always a boost. But they about to be right back in the thick of it because they have 3 games in 4 days this weekend, starting on Thursday at Dallas, and then they play Seattle in the home back-to-back on Saturday and Sunday. Those Seattle games are important because they currently trail Seattle by 1 game in the standings. So that would, if they can, handle business, that would help them move up. They're currently in 5th. Seattle's in 4th. If they can, they can go in ESA and get them up out of there. They'll end the weekend in 4th place. So I'm sure that's bulletin board material for them. Going up against Dallas on Thursday, that team's been sort of a headache for them, mainly the backcourt. But Washington has one of the best backcourts in the league, so they should be able to rise to the challenge. And it's been a common theme as of late, especially post All-Star break, that Elena Deladon is looking closer and closer to 100%. So that's always going to be a plus for them. I mean, even in the beginning of the season, when she first started playing and she wasn't even anywhere close to looking like herself, the impact was obvious when she was on the court, and when she was off, she was still crafty. She was still able to score. Just her being on the floor, period, is a threat. And the other team has to respect that. But overall, man, it's just been an up and down year for them, offensively at least. They've been able to perform pretty consistently on the defensive end, which Coach Tebow was talking about that since training camp, and and they've stuck to it, which will bode well for them moving into the postseason, because during the playoffs things get more intense. they let them play a little bit more. You know, the W is a physical league to begin with, so so being able to clamp down is always going to work in your favor. But yeah, man, like this weekend is, I'm sure they're going into the mindset of, coming out this weekend 3-0, which would, do wonders for them. The season's winding down. That would be a big confidence booster, heading into the playoffs. And, especially with that, how the WNBA is, those first couple rounds, that single elimination, you need all the momentum you can get because you don't have a chance to kind of regroup as you do in the series. So yeah, man, just looking forward to them being back in the playoffs after missing last year. And that's been something they have been preaching, throughout the offseason and heading into the season this year, just to kind of get back to winning, and the culture they've built so far. So yeah, man, we'll see how they do, and hopefully by next show we'll be talking about how they moved up in the standings.
Yeah, this next little stretch is gonna go one or two ways. Like you said, we're gonna talk about them moving up in the standings, or it's the other discussion we'll be having is where are they clinging on to going into that following week. All right, Cardell, another fun week at the Kenner League. Who stood out to you this week?
Yeah, we all know that certain teams are starting to separate themselves at the top of the standings, and they're looking like to be the favorites as playoffs start. I think it's next weekend, and then it's the home stretch for the playoffs the following week, and then we have a champion. And those, it's three teams that I'm sure we all agree on that's just above the rest right now, and that's Clyde, that's the Toons, and the McClinton All Stars. They've been catching fire lately since all their players, the pro players, been coming back and playing with them. But from this past weekend, as usual, it was only 5 that we selected as the best standouts, and here they are. We're gonna start with Brian Crawford for AWash. Played at Wake Forest, overseas doing this thing. He's been a spark plug for AWash, man. AWash got off to a rough start. At the beginning of the Kenner League, I think they started out 0-2, 0-3, and since he's arrived, fresh off the plane, he's been leading those guys, man. With just being a true floor general, hitting timely shots. But the thing that's impressed me the most about him is his defense, man. Not just on ball, the way he's the best or one of the best. It's this kid for higher learning, not higher level, but call your mother. Letter that gets after defensively, and the kid Ian Martinez from Maryland, he gets out there defensively as well. But Brian Crawford, he's sharp, man. Like when you get past your man, you're not safe if he's on the floor, man, because the way he digs down or slides over and rotates with a purpose, he always gets his hands on the ball, and he either strips it or he knocks it loose. And AWash usually gets it and gets it back to his hands, and then they're off to the races. And that's how they've been beating teams. He's just leading by example on both ends, man. And it's nothing for him to have about 15 points and 10 assists and around 4 or 5 steals each game, and that's light work for him. I know on Sunday, AWash pretty much they blew out on point, 83-70. The score really wasn't that close. Georgetown, it's a kid. Bradley is a Wiro. It's not a far-fetched thing to say. Like, we were talking this weekend. He has Zion Williamson athleticism. He had 22 points and 7 rebounds. Most of those points came off of outlet passes and dishes from Brian Crawford, just setting him up, and allowing as a Wiro to do what he does best, dunk. You know what I mean? So he's making guys around him better, and AWash is better off for it. Next up is Eric Green, plays for McClinton All-Stars, played at Virginia Tech, and he's a pro right now as well. He had 29 points in a blowout win over Hoya Blue, 93-78, but I believe 24 was in the first half. I can continue. I can go more in detail, but that pretty much speaks for itself. I'm going to move on. Qudus Wahab plays for Clyde. Georgetown Center had 14 points, 5 rebounds, and another pretty convincing win over a higher level. It was fun seeing him and his high school teammate, which was the underclassman, Noel Brown at GW. They was going back and forth on both ends all game, but Qudus had a little bit more help, and they were a little bit better coached. And so the game was out of hand pretty much midway through the second half. So he got to sit on 14 points and 5 rebounds. Noel, kept playing. He finished with better numbers, but they they had the edge, man, because his defense, the way he was altering shots, the way he was defending Noel, and the way he took it to Noel offensively, with jump hooks, drop step power moves, finishing strong. He showed good hands when he was catching passes, from the guys like AJ Wilson, all those guys, and going up strong. So he looks to be ready, man. He looks to be back to form, after kind of a rough year at Maryland. Next up is Will Thomas, Toombs out of Morgan State. To me, he's been the most consistent player in the Kenner League, man. You can pretty much pencil him in for about between 15 to 20 points a game and about 5 rebounds and 5 assists. It's easy for him. And it's so easy. He's out there just having fun, laughing, man. And like I said, that's contagious. I love that out of him. And he's a big reason why Toombs is tied for first place right now. At 6-1, man. He's a big reason for it. Whenever they have cold spells offensively as a team, their flow, he's usually the guy that's continuing to keep them either out in front or keep them close where they can come back, do this mid-range game where he can hit the three, post up, and get to the basket and get to the free throw line. So he's just showing how well-rounded his game is, man. And, they're going to be a tough out. And last but not least is Primo Spears, man. The show he put on. Plays for Toombs with Will Thomas, Georgetown transfer out of Duquesne. He had 29 points and 88-76 win over Papa. His performance was especially great to see because, he kind of went toe-to-toe with a lot of guys know him as SpongeBob, Andrew Washington. Everybody know Andrew Washington is a little bully out there, man. Power guard loves to punk, try to punk the opponent. That's how he gets off. That's how he gets fired up and do what he does, man. And throughout the summer, he's been doing that to some of the youngins, the college youngins, and they ain't been falling completely apart. They are totally taken out of the games, and he just crushes them. That ain't happened on Sunday, though. Like he tried that, and he tried that with Primo Spears. Primo Spears came down 2-3 possessions in a row, danced on him, bombed him from 3. Everybody in the crowd was like, "Ooh!" And this is when Drew was talking trash, talking about they sweet and all that. Man, he hit them about 2-3 straight threes. Skip past him, staring at him, telling him look at the scoreboard and all that. Next thing you know, Drew was quiet. You know what I mean? And there's a highlight up of the last 3 that he hit, man, when he skipped down court, man. And it just show you how tough the kid is, man. And that was refreshing to see. He's not afraid. He's not afraid of the moment. And like I said, man, Georgetown has a lot of talent this upcoming season. The hard part is just going to be figuring out who gets the shots. And that's something you ain't going to have to figure out. But, Primo Spears definitely showed up. And I'm going to throw a shout out to Rob Montgomery. I know he didn't make the team, but he balled too. That's the one that Drew really was going back and forth with. He pushed him out of bounds, try to really physically punk him. And Montgomery ain't go for it. Just stayed within the game and went back at him. And then they got the W, convincing W. So it was good to see that kind of intensity in some league because a lot of the youngest, for the most part, don't really have that anymore. But it was refreshing to see that a few of them, a handful of them do. And obviously, co-players of the week, I'm going to go with Eric Green and Primo Spears for obvious reasons. 29 points each, and they both led their teams to blow out wins.
Yeah, like you said, man, I can't wait for the playoffs. Just really can't wait. Especially, I enjoy watching Toombs every time we see him. It's definitely fun. And for the playoffs, I hope that they get what's the other cat that they have? The other guard.
Murray.
Yeah.
Brandon Murray, yeah.
Those 3 are,
Blue
what
guards,
they did with, boy, yeah.
It's going to be fun. Yeah.
And then, like you said, with Murray and Montgomery, just the physicality of those two, like,
yeah, man.
Like, it's a lot.
It's problems. You better, whoever play them, better lead with defense first, man. Because if you try to score with them, they're gonna destroy him. You're not gonna outscore those guys.
You got Mr. Consistent over there, and Will Thomas just quietly, just little by little. You look up at late after the game's done. Oh, 20, again. So many different ways. But yeah, can't wait for the playoffs. We're going to take our first break when we get back. Update you guys on DC United. Before we get to 9450 Breakdown and Rapid Fire, you're watching the Focus TV. Welcome back to the Focus TV. As far as DC United goes, since the last time we spoke, they've been very busy. For the second time, I think we did this like a few weeks ago, where I shared with you guys some of the speculation around the team in terms of possible moves and things of that nature. So for the second time, I'll share with you what's been confirmed since the last time we spoke. DC United has acquired Columbus Crew forward Miguel Berry in exchange of $225,000 in general allocation money. That's $125 in 2022, another $100 in 2023. He's a 6'3", 24-year-old forward. Thus far this season, he's scored 2 goals for the Crew prior to being traded. They then signed Jamaican international and former Derby County midfielder Ravel Morrison on a free permanent transfer using targeted allocation money. He signed through 2023 with an option for 2024. The 29-year-old scored 5 goals and had 4 assists in 38 appearances last season under Wayne Rooney at Derby County. So again, help is on the way. There's rumors for another player that they're pursuing, another forward. So clearly Wayne Rooney's kind of like, look, we're going to score. We're gonna fix this. Some of the things during Lasada's tenure, I think almost every week I came back to you guys and told you there was multiple opportunities. They did not capitalize on them. Rooney's clearly like, we want to create multiple opportunities and capitalize on all of them. So, which is never a bad thing in a sport where you don't score that much. And also one of the things you're seeing is they definitely want to shore up the midfield, which goes a long way. They're going to change, and we've seen them kind of change the formation a little bit to this point. However, for the third time this season, they're changing formations or tactics, however you want to look at it. And then Rooney, like I told you guys last week, he's yet to be on the sideline as manager. It's expected that he will manage his first game this Sunday when they host Orlando City at 5 p.m. As for last weekend, DC United fell to CF Montreal at home on Saturday as Romel Kyoto recorded a brace. Steve Birnbaum would score the lone goal for DC United. Miguel Berry, just mentioned, he made his DC United debut and played 77 minutes in the start. Martin Rodriguez, mentioned him a couple weeks ago, he made his first appearance for the club in the 63rd minute as a sub. So again, the second transfer window has not yet closed. There's a good chance I'll come back to you guys next week to let you know how they did against Orlando City and possibly tell you about a couple more additions to the team. Again, you guys know where they are in the standings. They're looking up at quite a few teams. So, the more the merrier in terms of, and they're adding quality talent, all right? And it's not a knock on MLS or anything like that. The play in the MLS has definitely improved over the years. But someone like Ravel Morrison spent a good chunk of his life playing internationally. That's a veteran, 29-year-old. You come in here, you'll get used to how MLS play. Sometimes, depending on where you're coming from, it's a little bit more physical here. That said, but from a talent perspective, it should go a long way, holding things down in the middle of the field, and then creating some more of these opportunities. Can't wait to see what all of it looks like together. However, that's going to take time. But I'll let you guys know what it looks like next week, and hopefully I'll be talking to you after they have a result, the desired result, which is 3 points after a win. 9-4-50 breakdown. Jamal Hayward's back this week with a breakdown, dribble, step over wrap. Breakdown, dribble, step over wrap, followed by our second break. And then we're going to find out what wonderful questions Cardell has planned for us in Rapid Fire. You're watching the Focus TV.
Today we're going to work on the 2 dribble move, utilizing some footwork as well also, and some body movement as well to get your defender off balance for an open mid-range shot. I'm going to show it to you both ways. I'm going to break down the footwork, how to set up the footwork, sell the footwork to get the defender to bite and think you're going one way when you go the other way. So, we're going to start on this wing right here. We're going to utilize, it's 2 moves in one. We're going to utilize a hard step over with a dribble and a wrap dribble. Wrap around the back. So, when I step over here to my left side, which means my left foot will be my pivot foot. When I step over here, I want to step over aggressively. So if my defender is straight up with me right here, my defender is straight up with me right here, I want to set towards his right foot, which is on my left side. So I want to set towards his right foot, but I want to set aggressively with my shoulders. So now I want to set aggressively with my shoulders. Now, with that same motion, I'm taking the jump. So I'm stepping with that hard pound. That hard pound and that hard step, the defender has to fight like it's going to that open space right there. So, now, when I take that hard step and that hard dribble, so after that step and that hard dribble, I square back up. Now when I square back up, I'm going to bring my left foot, jump it that way. So, here, now, that hard cell and that cell here, with my body rocking this side, is going to make the defender shift. As I shift here, I wrap it around. So, walking through it slowly. Here, shot. So now, let's go gain speed. Again, one more time. So make sure we get this left foot going that way. Here. And the other way. When we step over. Here. Again. Hard aggressive step. And now his left foot. All right now. Here. Kick that right foot that way. Here. Right. Shot. Two dribble move. Very efficient. Break down the footwork so you guys can understand it. Create space for your shot. Get the defender on balance.
Welcome back to the Focus TV. I want to thank Jamal Haber for knocking out the 9-4-50 breakdown. Cardell, you know what time it is. The floor is yours, sir. What you got for us this week?
All right, man. We're gonna start on the NFL side. Kind of breaking news. Kind of broke a couple hours before we started the show. Veteran wide receiver Julio Jones has agreed to a one-year deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The seven-time Pro Bowler gives soon-to-be 45-year-old Tom Brady another weapon in Tampa. As Jones looks to rebound from a down season with the Tennessee Titans. Jones joins a receiver group with the Bucs that includes holdovers Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller, Bradshaw Perriman, and Russell Gage. Like Jones, another former Falcon. Obviously, Godwin had all-season surgery on a torn ACL, suffered late last season. The Bucs opted not to put him on a PUP list to start training camp, but a source told ESPN that they would be cautious with him before letting him practice. Tampa Bay also brought on veteran Kyle Rudolph last week and moved to shore up his tight end spot in the wake of Rob Gronkowski's retirement. We're gonna start with you, Octavia. What are your thoughts on the move?
I mean, I think it's a good move for them, mostly because of the Godwin situation. Godwin is a high-producing wide receiver for them. If you want to go 1A, 1B, to me, between him and Mike Evans, they're the top receivers there, especially now with losing Gronk as well, being Tom Brady's, for lack of a better term, security blanket. I'm just interested to see if Julio has anything left in the tank, because last season, I expected a lot from him, and I feel like he kind of had an up and down season. I feel like he also had more opportunities with AJ Brown being hurt last year, a little bit during his tenure with Tennessee. But I mean, it's kind of not fair, just because it's like Tom Brady just gets almost anything he wants, it seems like, and it's just like, come on, bro, you retired for 40 days, you should have just stayed away. But I think it's a good look for them. I mean, it's not costing them anything. It's a one-year deal, and I'm sure Julio is just really trying to get I mean, he's trying to get a ring. He's trying to make sure he's getting up there in age, and I don't think he has too many good years left in him. So I think he may just kind of be that type of role where he comes in and he on third down or something like that. But I don't think he'll be a huge addition to it. But I could be wrong, because I think that the biggest thing is going to be the Chris Godwin situation with him being out for a while.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a great move for Tampa. They playing with house money.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good situation for Julio as well. I mean, like I would assume he knows by going there he's not going to be like the super focal point of the offense, which is probably best for him. Like Octavia brought up his age. I think he's about 32, 33 at this point. He got a lot of miles on him, and coming off a less than stellar year last year. You go to a situation where it's solid. It's a consistent situation. Like they're not in flux or anything like that. They're a contender. So yeah, man, it's a good move on both of their parts. It's something I would have done if I was in Julio's situation and in Tampa Bay's situation. So yeah, man, hopefully it works out. And then, say somehow he just kind of turns back the clock or something. Like he's still super talented. So so that's it's way more reward than risk here, by in every aspect of the situation. So yeah, I think it's a good move.
Wilson.
Yeah, I'm with both of them. I don't. It's a win-win for both parties, right? For Julio, get a chance, get healthy. I don't think Byron Leftwich is gonna have any issue figuring out how to utilize Julio Jones in that offense. Neither will Tom. If you're open, he will find you. And the great thing here is, you don't have to be any version of Julio Jones you've been in your past. You're like option 4.
Mm-hmm.
Like in case of emergencies, break the glass. Like Evans, God forbid, gets hurt or something. Here's Julio Jones at the end of the game or something. Oh, let's stress out the defense. Julio Jones is on your nickel corner, your backup nickel. Let's see how you react to this. Yeah, it's a win-win, and I just want to see Julio healthy again. Honestly, like just better for everyone.
Yeah, all I gotta say is thank God he's in y'all conference. So you already know what it's capable of being. So sticking with the NFL, Kyler Murray contract. Man, it became official recently. And it officially contains a term that one source deemed to be unprecedented. The deal requires that Murray engage in at least 4 hours of independent study during each week of the season, from the Monday after training camp ends through the last game on the schedule, including any postseason games. The contract defines independent study to include the study of the material provided to him by the club in order to prepare for the club's next upcoming game, including without limitation any such material provided via an iPad or other electronic device. Time spent in mandatory meetings doesn't count. The contract specifically includes this sentence: players shall not receive any credit for independent study with respect to any time periods during which any material is displayed or played on the iPad or electronic device if A, player is not personally studying or watching the material while it is being displayed or played, or B, players engaged in any other activity that may distract his attention, for example, watching television, playing video games, or browsing the internet while such material is being displayed or played. A breach of this term counts as default under the contract, which will jeopardize his guaranteed money. It's unclear how any of this will be enforced by the Cardinals unless there's a way to remotely monitor active interaction and engagement of the iPad. Ray, your thoughts on this?
Wow. I've never heard of this being in the contract before. If you have to put in the contract that he should study film, why are you giving him $200 some odd million as the quarterback? Like, none of this makes sense. So I don't know what's going on over there. I really don't have too much to say because this seems like something out of a movie. But yeah, that's yeah, wow. I mean, I don't like if his agent read that and was like, all right, that's cool. Like, yeah, that just says a whole bunch to me. But that just seemed very strange that would be a stipulation, because it basically what that's telling me is they've had issues with him studying film in the past. So yeah, wow, that's wild. But what have you? I'm not the one making those decisions. More power to him. If you committed that much to a guy that seemingly doesn't study his craft, that's on you. I hope it works out for everybody.
Wilson, you seem like you have a lot to say on this.
Hey, man, that's some poverty franchise stuff, man. I'm gonna say it. Like, this is why I don't take the Cardinals serious. That is so unserious. And the worst part is, he has the same agent as the coach. And also, why didn't you tell your agent not to let that part get published? Like, even if it was in there, bro, that is so ridiculously petty that got shown to all of us. Also, now we know why y'all fall off a cliff every year. They've caught you, so you just put your iPad on and go enjoy your life. The second half of the season, every year. What's up, Kyler? And then the other part, if you're an organization, if you can't trust your quarterback to study or do his job, and you gave him $160 million guaranteed because your coach probably can't do anything without him because he's tied to Kyler. Hey man, just again hilarious. So it was funny when I saw it the other day. I was just like, really? Because how do you let that out? Like, we've heard stories about you, and now we think about this stuff when all the noise was leaking out about Kyler, like maybe a year and a half ago, about him not being a leader, and nobody went into great detail. But this is a horrible look. But not my business. Not the team I root for. Shout out to Cliff Kingsbury. Shout out to Kyler Murray. Look forward to seeing y'all twice a year. Keep doing what you do. Second half collapses. What have you. Y'all the best.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, of course, with both of you guys. The fact that it's public is just actually extra crazy. Because, like, can you imagine, like, every time he have a bad game, like his teammates is on the sideline, he like probably studied in 4 hours this week. Like, literally every time something happens, somebody like, he ain't studied in 4 hours. Like, that's just, to me, I had to actually go look up how old he is. Because it's like, okay, he's 24. So it's like, come on, bro. Like, you should be living, breathing, like, that's it, is football. Like, I don't understand. Like, you're getting paid millions and millions of dollars. And the fact that they have to literally treat you like you're still in school and say, hey, you got to go to study hall every week. You have 4 hours of study hall every week. And honestly, I feel like top tier quarterbacks probably study more than 4 hours a week. That's just a thought. I don't know. I'm not a quarterback, but that's just what I think. I'm pretty sure Aaron Rodgers studies more than 4 hours a week, I would think. I'm pretty sure Patrick Mahomes studies more than 4 hours a week. So, and then especially on top of all of the noise from this off season, like, I want my money. I'm taking down my Instagram pictures and all of this other nonsense. And the fact that they out here begging you, because it seems like it, because if I have to put that in a contract, which means that if you don't do this, we can like void your contract and not pay you. That's a problem. So hopefully it's an incentive. That's the incentive that, the Cardinals need for him to get it together. But I mean, at the same time, if I was his teammates, I would probably be looking at him sideways. I mean, it makes it even worse that, DeAndre Hopkins going to be out for 6 weeks. Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown just got there. So now he like, all right, bro, what did I just walk into? Because I'm sure Lamar studies more than 4 hours a week too. So, it's just going to be interesting because I feel like every time something happens this year with the Cardinals, it's going to come back to that. And you reap what you sow. So good luck to them. Again, not a team I root for. I feel for my man Zach Ertz because I still love him even though he out there in Arizona now. Good luck to you. Make sure you can tell Kyler where he's supposed to go so he can throw you the ball.
Yeah, I agree with all y'all. just from the competitive standpoint, if I'm a defensive player, the shit talking that will go on in between the lines from this information, they just gave me. Oh my God, dog! Like, oh man, whew. They gotta be careful when they leak out, man. They just making it harder and harder, man. But all outside of the football part, this may start a scary precedent across all the pro sports leagues. We've been talking about in the NBA. We know the owners are coming. It's just no matter how they gonna come. We already know the NFL owners, they run everything anyway, so ain't nothing to come for. If they come for anything else, the players gonna be playing for free. But at the same time, this setting a hell of a standard where a lot of owners and front offices are going to be putting, criteria like this in all the contracts to get these players to be up to par, which shows you that the lack of professionalism across all these sports leagues is a consistent thing with this era. Bro, you the quarterback. Like you should be the first. You damn near should be in the film room with the coaches. You know what I'm saying? And this is me. If I'm a quarterback, I'm damn sure trying to know what the hell going on. I'm not trying to get Goldberg speared out there. That shit hurt. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, especially as small as he is, and you in the same division with Aaron Donald and all those guys and stuff. All right, man. Look, hey, dog. Look, these youngsters different, dog. Hey, all right, but it shouldn't have to come to that, man. But I think a lot more teams are going to start doing this and leaking it, because this puts the pressure on the player where things go wrong. Don't look at us. We gave him the money. Look at him. Obviously, he ain't been doing what he's supposed to do. So don't get mad at us, and it's definitely coming. You're going to probably see in the NBA, you want this X amount of dollars? You want to play about 65, 70 games minimum. That's just how it's going to go. And yes, I'm referencing, Flat Earth guy. He's one of them. Yeah, it's just going to be real like that, and the players are going to complain, but they have nobody to blame but themselves, man. Because all you got to do is be professional, show up, and do what you're supposed to do. And it won't even have to come to this, but it is what it is. And we're going to stick to the NFL. Octavia brought up his name, Lamar Jackson. The Athletics' Mike Sando recently published his annual quarterback tiers list, in which all quarterbacks are ranked into groups, usually 5, based on rankings from NFL executives and personnel. Lamar Jackson, the Ravens star quarterback and 2019 MVP, was ranked in tier 2, described as being able to carry his team sometimes, but not as consistently, and can handle pure passing situation in doses and or possesses other dimensions that are special enough to elevate him, but has a hole or two in his game. Perhaps somewhat of a fair evaluation of Jackson, but one anonymous defensive coordinator, I love them anonymous people, had an aggressively harsh diagnosis of his play. You said if he has to pass to win the game, they ain't winning the game. The coordinator said he's so unique as an athlete and he's really a good football player, but I don't care if he wins the league MVP 12 times. I don't think he'll ever be number one as a quarterback. He'll be a number one as a football player, but not as a quarterback. Oh man, we're going to Wilson. We can start with you on this. Just the constant shade at Mr. Lamar. Your thoughts?
Look, man. I hate these because when you feel that strongly, I want your name on it and I want your record against that player. Because if you feel that strongly and he still has his foot up your behind, why do you have your job? Because this is what that sounds like. Sounds like you feel some type of way. He probably does whatever he wants to your team, and you don't have an answer for it. So to make yourself feel better, to put a nice warm blanket around your fragile ego, you tell yourself, but he's not a quarterback. He's beating your team. That's great. Yes, he has holes in his game. Like, my whole thing, like Cardo, you talk about all the time. Scott Report catching up to everybody, right? All players have, for the most part, have holes in their game, right? We can point out to Lamar the situations where, yes, he needs to get better as a passer. We can say the same thing for Mahomes at times. The book on both of them dudes is like the complete opposite. For Mahomes, it's kind of like just don't blitz, sit home, bend but don't break, and force him to play calm. With Lamar, send the crib, because if you don't send it, he's going to do what he wants. And people send a lot of stuff that way. However, I find it really interesting in how people discern when they separate the quarterbacks from the play callers in times when they put quarterbacks with play callers. When you like somebody, the play caller and the quarterback go together. Even if the quarterback is not as good as the play caller, you still give the quarterback like the love, almost equal love to the play caller, even when it's not deserved. But if you don't like somebody, you separate the quarterback, what have you. My whole thing is like, it's a codependent relationship. Lamar does need to get better at things. Same time, your job as a coordinator is to provide answers to your players. Him, and Greg Roman have to figure that out. And y'all know I've been saying this forever and ever because I've seen this story before. I remember what it was like for another quarterback under G-Row where things got off to a quick start and the adjustments never got made and people got figured out. And G-Row skated. Roman got away from that situation scot-free, never got any blame for everything. It was just the quarterback's fault. We're here again, it's like, 10 years later, something like that? Same thing. All I'm simply saying, look at them both. Yes, he has holes. Some of y'all need to stop talking real crazy. If he was a free agent, some of y'all favorite teams would be pushing people out the door to put him under center. Let's not get that wild about it. Just being completely honest. Also, I've watched coordinators work in the dark arts to have quarterbacks look okay. Y'all need to chill out. Sometimes, it's just not that hard to me sometimes. He needs to get better. That's cool, man. It's also not an accident that he won a freaking MVP. You don't just accidentally fall out of bed and win an MVP. Last year, everybody on the Ravens died. All of you know that information. What are we judging last year off of? Let's not do that. That's the same thing we did to Cap in his last year in San Francisco when he was throwing to. If you weren't a fan of that team, you don't know their names. And I'm not talking about a surface fan. I'm talking about you were a Niner fan for your entire life to remember them dudes' names. Because nobody knows. It was Jeremy Curley was their leading wide receiver. That's what was going on there. So if the situation is that dire, don't judge them. But when it's people that y'all like and their teams have injuries, oh man, the excuses, the books are crazy. Yes, he's not great in the playoffs, man. Cool. Some of y'all favorite players were horrible in the playoffs for a little while when they were young. It's not the end of the story. Yes, he needs to get better, but y'all know where I stand. I'm just sick of everything being his fault. And G-Row skating, this is like the second time this man's Teflon. I don't get it, but dude who said that, please share your name. Even reading that whole article, some of the stuff that was said was so wild. So wild. Put your name on stuff, guys. Please.
I'll tell you.
The hate is real for baby. I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. I don't want to. It happens all the time. I don't want to rig it down to this whole, race thing. But it seems like if it's a good black quarterback and he runs well, that's all he can do. Like Wilson said, don't get me wrong, he definitely can improve. But to say that he's now the top tier quarterback to me is just ludicrous. I don't understand it. Like Wilson also said, the other 31 teams, if they knew they had an opportunity, I won't say all 31, I'm sorry. But the teams that, of course, are outside, that don't have Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady and stuff like that, if they knew they had a chance to get Lamar Jackson, it'll be a wrap. And just like you said, I hate this anonymous take. If you believe that, tell me who you are, why you feel this way. What, like Wilson said, what's the record? Who, what is it? To me, it's just crazy. I don't understand. I don't know what they're watching. I don't understand how you can have those feelings about Lamar Jackson. I don't understand how you can have that about a former MVP. And a former MVP at a young age, and he's still young. He still has time and opportunities to get better. And he's been holding, granted, like we said, last year wasn't a great year because that had a whole hell of a lot of injuries. But even with the injuries, he was doing crazy stuff out there to bring his team along. So to sit there and say that he's not a top-tier quarterback, and they don't care if he wins 12 MVPs, he'll never be a top-tier quarterback, that's ridiculous. And to me, it just sounds like hate. It just sounds like you're mad that you can't do what he does, or your quarterback can't do what he does, and you wish you had him, and you should just admit it. To me, outside of that, just be quiet about it. I'm actually really tired of this storyline around Lamar, and honestly, I wish it would stop. but I don't think it will stop until he gets to the playoffs. He wins a playoff game. He looks like your traditional quarterback, which to me is still stupid. But I'm just tired of the whole conversation. Like, just let it go. Like, he's a great quarterback, and that's what it is.
Right.
Yeah, that was ridiculous, man. I would tell that person I'm not running this quote unless I can put your name on it. Like I wouldn't any type of anonymous wild takes like that. I wouldn't run it, man. Like, because you got to own that publicly. Because like Wilson said, man, who are you? What team do you coach? And what has Lamar done against you? Because if you're talking like that and you've been getting dogged, then yeah, people should be asking you, well, why can't you contain this, second tier player? So yeah, it's stupid, man. It's been going on for far too long. He's been having to deal with this stuff since college. Like I just don't get it, man. And then what I would do is that same person that said that, I would ask them what they think about Josh Allen. And see what the response is. Like it's that stuff is stupid, man. That dude was just looking for some attention. And to be honest, to put that in an article is irresponsible because it's inflammatory, it's gonna get clicks. Like I just wouldn't get that type of stuff, no energy, man.
Yeah, I mean, we all know why it is what it is. Because he's a black and his style represents how we play in our areas and our neighborhood. It's kind of our style of quarterback. I've been gave up on the NFL as far as expecting them to have integrity because it just ain't there. They always gonna nitpick him. One, he's nice. If he was trash, then there'd be no reason to even pay him no mind, right? You know what I'm saying? They couldn't. Matter of fact, he'd be out of the league because they couldn't wait to get rid of him. But the problem is, he literally scares the shit out of everybody in the NFL, especially when you're playing against him, because he's capable of destroying your team at any moment on any single play. And honestly, you could say Vic, Maul, it ain't too many players like that. Like their big play capabilities through this world. Like Barry Sanders, like Randy, all guys like that. It ain't too many players like that. He's one of them. Yeah, I will throw the house at him too. It will keep him in the pocket for the most part, and it will force him to make quick decisions. And they know he hasn't had the best receiving core as well. Mm-hmm. So y'all saying, well, he's not going to stay in the pocket and deliver. But that's easy for you to say because you're not the one about to get blasted by 5 dudes. You feel what I'm saying? So, and he knows he got wheels. So he going to rely on his instincts to create something and get him out of trouble, which is why he was drafted where he was, and which is why he is where he is, and which is why he's an MVP. To me, it's just racial and undertones because it really can't be off his play. He talked about the wins. Fine, he's 1 of 3 in the playoffs. He only been 4 times. That could easily go up in one playoff run. He'll be 500. That changes the whole dynamic of everything. But as a starter in the regular season, the man is 37-12, though. Like, he's getting W's. So clearly, he's beating the hell out of a lot of people. So I'm pretty sure whoever this coward coordinator is or whatever, he done smacked him around a few times. So it's not adding up, man. Like, bro, I love Lamar. Hell, I wanted him to be a Bronco, but that's a whole nother discussion. We ain't going down that road. I'm not trying to have a Rob Williams moment. I'm trying to have peace. It's the off season. But he should be a Bronco. Like he should have been. But people want to make this more difficult, just like this executive. Same type of mentality. And you pass up on that, you got to deal with that boy for about 20 years doing the same thing. You see what I'm saying? So Patrick Mahomes, he runs. Aaron Rodgers, he runs. It's just that they may have a little bit more experience in the pocket. But what else they also have? Better weapons. That matters. So no disrespect. I love Mahomes, but if you put Lamar back there, if you give him Devontae Adams, man, I'm just saying it's a different ballgame. But we don't want to go there, man. They don't really want to go there. Be objective and look at all that. So I'm gonna leave it alone. But even when you look at the numbers and the facts, what he's saying don't equate to much because
Yep.
the man is 37-12, dog. Like he can literally lose every game this season and still be over 500. Like that's ridiculous, man. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. One more question because I know we're running out of time. Definitely gotta touch on this one. Liz Cambage is leaving the LA Sparks in her first season with the team. The team announced Tuesday, describing it as a contract divorce Cambage elected. It is with support that we share Liz Cambage's decision to terminate her contract with the organization. Sparks managing partner Eric Holloman said in a statement, "We want what's best for Liz and have agreed to part ways amicably. The Sparks remain excited about our core group and our focus on our run towards the 2022 playoff berth." The four-time All-Star former MVP candidate appeared in 25 games for the Sparks this year. Recently come off a bout with COVID-19. She averaged 13 points and 6.4 rebounds and 23.4 minutes per game before her departure. The 30-year-old who had previous stints in Tulsa, Dallas, and Las Vegas signed with the Sparks in February. A prize free agency acquisition for then general manager and head coach Derek Fisher was fired in June, 12 days into the season, with Fred Williams, who was close to Cambage, replacing him on the sideline on an interim basis. Man, Octavia, floor is yours.
Oh, Liz, it's nice knowing you. I don't foresee any other places that we're going to see her in the WNBA. She's probably going back to Australia. I mean, honestly, like I look at her as a female DeMarcus Cousins. Like it's just like you can't get right. It's just a lot. And I feel like she's burned a lot of bridges. We all know the situation that happened, you know, with Team USA and the allegations from whatever racial slur she said to the Nigerian player. Apparently, she has refuted those allegations, but it's giving toxic. It's just giving a lot, and it's just like I don't know how many more people she's going to have in her corner that's going to be willing to go out on a limb for her. I mean, she already basically got signed to LA for like a minimum. So I mean, I don't even know how much more somebody will want that type of energy. Because I still feel like, you know, there is something that happened, you know, and I feel like eventually it'll come out. If it doesn't come out publicly to us, it's going to be some type of common knowledge to, you know, the WNBA circles. So I think she's going to be hard pressed to find a place where she's going to be able to play in the WNBA. I'll be very surprised if she does.
Right.
Yeah, this might be a wrap for her, man. Just go ahead and get that modeling and DJ career going. Because I mean, everywhere she goes, it seems like there's an issue, and after so many times, and it's a common denominator, 2 + 2 gonna equal 4 at some point, and it doesn't help that the team she left has seemingly, you know, maximize their powers. So yeah, I mean, it just doesn't look good for her. It's given her track record. Most people are going to believe there's some credence to, you know, the situation that came about, you know, with the Nigerian team and all that stuff. So, I mean, yeah, after a while, you know, your reputation precedes you. So, and it just makes it harder for you moving forward. So, yeah, I don't see another team that will be willing to gamble on that. So, yeah, you know, unfortunately, that's just the way the world works. You know, hopefully she can find a situation that's good for her, whether it be basketball or something else. But yeah, that whole thing seemed to spiral once those allegations came out. Like you would see her in media and her teammates would just be looking like, you know, we're not here for this woman at all. You know, Nneka tried to do the right thing from the outset and try to jump in front of it, but I mean, you could see the friction. So yeah, I don't know what the future holds for her in regards to the WNBA.
Wilson.
I think this might be Curtis on the WNBA career. you know, Cardell says that sometimes when the main thing's not the main thing, you end up here. And you know, a lot of times, like Ray said, at some point, you know, things keep happening. At some point, you gotta, you know, just maybe sort of look in the mirror and wonder if it is in fact just you. That everywhere you go, issues arise, and after you leave, somehow these teams continue to find their way, find their footing. Like again, like you would think it's a hell of an indictment. You leave the Aces and they shoot to the top of the freaking league. But again, but yeah, I just think it's, you know, there's a lot of stuff over a period of time. At some point, you know, the talent sometimes doesn't outweigh the stuff that comes with it, and I think we've reached this point.
Yeah, I'm gonna just end it with like I said, there's always something every stop. I know I listen to Andrew Bogus podcast. You know, he's also from Australia. You know, owns a team there. In a way, he's kind of the face of Australia basketball in a lot of ways. Being the number one pick, being on the national team for so many years, and yeah, she only get love back home because of that diva stuff she be on. You know what I'm saying? It gets old. It gets old really quick. The thing I kind of disliked about her, and this happened a couple years, and I'm not questioning if she had mental health. I don't like when people hijack mental health to cover up them not being accountable for their BS. I feel like that's coming after this situation. But I think it should fall on deaf ears, because you gotta look at what's happened in a year. The Olympic thing last year, which was honestly outside USA winning the gold, breaking a record or whatnot, setting that record. That was the biggest story on the women's side, women's basketball side, which it shouldn't have been that in the first place. Then you go into the Aces, you like her and Asia, they're gonna be a problem. They get a new coach, Becky Hammond, and she criticizes the WNBA because Becky Hammond got like $1 million, you know, as a coach, and no player has gotten that. I'm like, yo, this your coach. This your coach. Like, why are you criticizing her for getting a bag? And at the end of the day, that helps push the game forward. She's also helping you indirectly. And that's when the OGs like Nancy Lieberman came out, you need to slow your roll. Like, she's opening doors that you can't see, because right now you're focused on playing. You're only looking at what benefits you directly right now, and not the whole. When right now all the ladies playing right now got to continue to build the game up so that the young girls down the line could be in a position that the fellas are in now. Just like Bill Russell and all those guys sacrifice so guys to today who can average 5 points a game are getting 9 figures. You feel what I'm saying? So it goes hand in hand. So of course Becky Hammond realized it was an issue. Sent it to LA. You ain't even gotta worry about it. Go. All right, cool. You ain't gotta worry about it. We're gonna win without you. And that's what they've been doing. They won without. You go to LA, not only does the coach get fired, you still speaking a little nonsense here and there. Y'all not winning, y'all not close to a championship. What are we dealing with here? Now you pull this. It ain't even been a year later. It ain't even a full calendar year. The Olympics was at the end of the summer last year. Look at all the drama that has happened. And at some point, you just got to look at it like, yeah, she talented. She big. You only have Brittany Griner, unfortunately, due to some circumstances. You ain't got her in the way. You should be dominating. Y'all should be at the top of the standings. And you can't even do that. You haven't won at any stop. What? At some point, you just got to like, all right, what are we dealing with here? You're not worth the trouble no more. So yeah, you can be bought out. You can go on. Hey, go, bye. And like y'all said, it's not just this team. The whole league is looking at it. Why would any team want you unless the team is just very desperate? Why would they want to deal with that? Because if it's a bad team, more than likely they're going to be young. So they don't want your influence around the young players. Then if it's a veteran team, they're not going to deal with your BS. So they don't want you. So where are you going to fit at? I just think she's just wasting talent on nonsense and stuff, issues that she need to correct herself, man. And it's a shame because we should be talking about her as one of the most dominant women players of all time.
Yep.
And she's not even that. With her skill, athleticism, and size, there should be no question. She should be in the St. Carver with Lisa Leslie and Lauren Jackson, Candace Parker, Brittany Griner, all the but she not even that. And it's just a shame, man. I don't think a lot of these athletes are paying attention, dog. These teams are not playing. They don't even talk no more. They used to throw little jabs out in the public just to give you warning signs. They don't even say nothing no more. It just happens. Your agent just get a call and it is what it is. Especially in the WNBA, they pretty much on the level of the NFL. They get rid of you, dog. Like that, the turnover in that league is incredible, dog. Like incredible. It's crazy. So why are you playing games? Unless you just fainted with basketball, but then you should just retire. Just went on about your business and stop wasting everybody's time. So it's just unfortunate, man. But some of these players need to get off their high horse and off this diva stuff, man. Because at the end of the day, people know you and value you because of what you do on the floor. And if stuff too much stuff get in the way of that, then you no longer have a value. No one wants to hear what you have to say anyway.
Yeah, it's a perfect day. And thank you guys for spending time with us this week. We'll be back next week, and Lord knows what's going to be in rapid fire, who's going to do what across sports. In the meantime, look forward to updating you guys as we do each and every week on what happens on both the local and national level of sports. Don't forget to get over to thefocustv.com. We'll have Mystics Outlook a couple times this week, and obviously with them getting back to action. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you for watching this week's edition of The Focus TV.